Hello. So I just finished Stoner 2 days ago, and I finally found time to talk about it today. So that's what we're gonna do. So I went into reading Stoner mainly because I thought it was gonna give me good insights on Stoicism and how Stoicism works, right? When people put it into practice. Well, I didn't get that from the book. Sure, as you might have heard if you're here, Stoner had a terrible life. He didn't have a terrible life. He, according to the author, even had a good life or a better life than most of us. But actually, his life was quite bleak and bland, but in the bad sense of the word, bland. Like nothing eventful happened in his freaking life. Even in the book, he himself says, well, not he himself, but the narrator says pretty much like Stoner had nothing he was happy about the past and nothing he was looking forward about the present or he was excited to enjoy in the future, which pretty much sums up how this book feels the whole fucking time when you're reading it. It just feels like nothing is gonna happen, nothing is gonna change, only some bad thing is gonna happen that is gonna worsen this man's situation. That's how I felt when I was reading it. And honestly, Stoner seems to be a very likable character for me. You know, sure he did a lot of dumb stuff. Even in the book, he says to Grace, his daughter, when Grace tells him, "Poor daddy, life has not been good. Like life has not been easy for you, or things have not been easy for you, right?" And he said, "Yeah, but I assume I never want them to be." Like he's acknowledging he actually never tried, you know? And it's kind of rewarding for me to understand all throughout the book. Of course, if you're watching this, you should already like know what the book is about, or at least read. You know, you should have already read the book because I'm not gonna summarize it, right? Stoner is pretty much just an English teacher who goes through a lot of shit in his life, you know. But it's like not like hectic shit. It's just like bland. It's just like a bland, bleak, uneventful, boring life which he lived, you know? Even though near the end they also say like he actually had a nice life in the sense of accomplishment, right? He wanted to teach, he taught. He wanted to find love, he found it in various ways at least. He did things that he wanted to do. But even when he was about to die, he felt like he was leaving something off, like he was leaving things out and he was going out without actually tasting life. And I feel like that line when he said, I guess I never want them to," when, you know, Grace told him that he probably didn't have a good life, it was rewarding for me to like see that Stoner saw it that way. I don't know if you guys or anybody who has read the book sees it differently, but I feel like when he said that, he was like, yeah, honestly, I probably should have done things a lot differently, you know? For example, he never really stood up for himself when Edith was. I don't know if I'm like. Am I pronouncing her name properly? I feel like every time I talk about that woman, it's just like I'm mispronouncing her name. But whatever. Like he never stopped his wife from treating him and his daughter so poorly, and from being so controlling and fussy towards him and his daughter. You know, and that made his daughter take a lot of hasty decisions that pretty much turned her into a terrible person, like a wretched person. Not a terrible person. He wasn't bad, right? She was happy, but you know she got pregnant just to get away from the house and from his mom. And of course, Edith is not a bad person. She's not a bad character. She's actually a really good character, I would say, because she's likable and dislikable at the same time, and you understand why she is the way she is. Of course, you don't like condone her behavior, but you understand it. You know what I'm saying? She was controlled as a child. She was never taught what was good or what was right. I feel like when she broke free from her family was when she found Stoner, you know, in a sense. And when she found Stoner, she pretty much realized that she had made a huge mistake, and she just lived in bitterness and hatred towards this man who she believed that, I guess, at some point to be the answer, but was not the answer. So she was trying to like constantly make his life awful to pretty much get some constant revenge daily by making his life miserable. But yeah, I guess, and Stoner sees it that way, I'm pretty sure. That's why he was so nice and understanding with her, you know? The only time he acknowledges, well, the first time he acknowledged, or at least vocalized what he believed, was when he said to Edith, like, "You really do hate me, huh?" And she was like, "I don't hate you." And of course, she was downplaying it because she did hate him. Um, but it's just those moments in which Stoner speaks for, I would like to say, ourselves, right? In those situations, because I'm like, this life is awful. This life is so uneventful. It feels like this guy is constantly trying to, is like, I don't know if it is me or someone else, but I feel like I was constantly trying to, waiting for something to happen, but nothing was happening, you know? And it was so bleak. It was like, I know this guy is gonna die, you know? And I know that nothing is gonna happen. Nothing is gonna redeem this book. And it was not a bad book, by the way. I don't mean like nothing is gonna make this book good. It's just nothing is gonna make this book not be a stoner. You know, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, I knew what I was signing for when when I picked up this book. So yeah, I like how the book ends. I like the book. I enjoyed it. I feel like if you don't have any expectations for teachings or for lessons, right? Because every time I read, I like to feel like I'm learning something. You know, I started reading mangas, and my favorite manga is, like many of you guys probably, is Vagabond, right? And it has a lot of, it's like a very lesson packed book. Like it has a lot of lessons to teach you. Has a lot of cool characters that, you know, have their own lessons in within their stories. So you can take a lot from that book and like learn, sort of, right? However, even though that's exactly what I was looking for in this book, I did not find that fully, you know? I do not know what somebody could take away from this book. Mainly just trying to be, you know, stoic about stuff. I guess, you know, like your wife is a bitch. Shit, just take it. But he was just taking it. That's my problem. Like, I don't know if this is actually stoic. I don't know if it is a stoic book. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it is if he lived a stoic life just because he was taking it. In a sense, it was the right thing to do. You know, he didn't have any greater ambitions other than teaching and trying to be happy, right? He was an overachiever within his own terms, I would say, right? Because he did not want anything else. He only wanted to teach. He only wanted to be a good teacher. And that's it. Like, that's literally the only, those are literally, well, that's literally the only goal that I feel like we are ever made aware of that Stoner had, being a good teacher and trying to teach. And he achieved that. And, you know, throughout his life, he just met so many hurdles that I guess for us, for people who are so exposed to so many like realities and possibilities, makes it feel like he lived a bland, boring life. But in reality, he actually was living a good life. He was just like very like packed with problems and issues that pretty much hindered his enjoyment. But you know, he did. He got that, I guess, now that I think of it. That's exactly what obviously the author says in the book. Well, the narrator says in the book, like, you know, he wanted to find love, he found it. He wanted to teach, he taught. However, you know, for us, and I guess for him as well, some things were left out. This is a man that was etched by himself, I feel like, or by life. I feel like throughout the book, I knew that nothing was going to happen, but at the same time, I felt like I wish something would happen to him that would kind of like steer his direction towards a better life, and not this ticking nothingness. I was gonna say ticking time bomb, but where's the bomb? Where's the explosion? Nothing would actually happen. Nothing would actually come out of this freaking book, because it's so fucking bland and so fucking mild. Nothing is gonna happen in this book. Just go and read it. It's a good book actually, but it just felt like nothing happened in it.